I'm Brianna Rose, 95.5 WSB.
Well, would you look at that? This is the Nightcap with yours truly, and most importantly, your buddy, Jared Yamamoto. This is my new talk show, typically heard Saturdays from 11 to midnight, right here on 95.5 WSB. And friends, do I have a huge show for each and every one of you. We have got to start off to the awful start to the NBA season with this huge gambling scandal involving Terry Rozier, Chauncey Billups. I have so much to say about that. And I'm going to tie in the NCAA story. Yeah, the NCAA has officially lifted its ban on student athletes betting on pro sports. Believe it or not, I'm going to have a different opinion about both of these stories. People are trying to tie them together. I will put them in their own boxes and explain why. Also, there are so many people talking about what's going on the East Wing of the White House and who's paying for the $300 million Trump ballroom. I have a lot to say about this, and people are freaking out, and I'm here to tell you, stop freaking out. It has happened before, and it is going to be okay. This is something that you should freak out. We're definitely going to do this tonight. Nearly a quarter of American workers didn't take any of their vacation days this year. I'm saying any of their vacation days. That has got to change, and I'm going to tell you why. Also, I see that landlines are making a comeback in a lot of family homes around the metro area. So if you have young kids in the house, the landline telephone is making a comeback. I actually agree with this, and I'm going to tell you why. But first, let me start with this, because I am a kind and courteous Atlantan, or an ATLian, as we like to call it now, an ATLian. And there are so many times where I am driving on the roads, whether it's a Peachtree or whether I'm going down West Peachtree, Piedmont, you name it, a lot of the main arteries in Midtown and downtown Atlanta. And I see people that, with no regard to anybody else on the road, will just pull directly in front of you and try to make a left turn when they clearly are going to stop traffic for a long time. I get so, anxious about keeping people backed up behind me that I usually pull up to the next intersection, or at least wait until there's a light or an actual turn lane before making a left turn across several lanes of traffic. Now, I know some people are just cold-blooded. They don't care. They're like, I had this lady tonight come into the station, and she just pulled right in front of me and then slammed on her brakes because she needed to make a left turn to get into one of these buildings right by SCAD. You know, we're here in Midtown at WSB, and there's the SCAD building right next to us, and had to make a left turn, but made so much of an effort to pull in front of me, slam on her brakes, forcing me to brake, and I couldn't pull around her because there were other cars coming the other lane. But it's like, lady, if you had just driven up to the next light and completely done a U-turn, or maybe just wait till I pass by and then get over. There's nobody behind me at the time, that you would have been able to get over and take your left turn across multiple lanes of traffic. It's the little things that make a difference in people's lives, and it annoys the crap out of me when people do that. I'm flabbergasted by people that just do not care about others while they're out on the streets, and I think it's becoming more and more apparent. Now, for my fellow ATLians, again, I'm born and raised here, and I know that there are a lot of people like, well, it's the transplants, Jared. It's all the people that are moving to Atlanta that are causing these problems. I'm going to push back against that. I just think that people think that they are so much, that their business is so important that nobody else matters anymore. And it's getting to a point now where even I, as a driver, am starting to think a little bit more offensively than defensively. I mean, you go through driver's ed, and you basically, I remember my dad sitting there teaching me how to drive, and he was like, drive defensively, son. Make sure that you're, being cautious of all the people around you, and make sure that you're always aware of what's going on. And I have always kind of held that to a standard, right? But because people are becoming so dismissive of others on the road and just deciding to pull in front of you, to slam on their brakes, to make a left turn across multiple lanes of traffic, then it is getting to the point now where I'm like, you know what, maybe I should speed up now so that way I don't let you ever. Maybe I shouldn't be as courteous anymore. But I'm here to tell you, I try my absolute best to be courteous of others, but it's wearing on me. And if you're one of those drivers out there that's driving like that, don't wear down on other people. Try to send some goodness around. Try to be a little more patient. It's okay to wait for somebody else to pull into traffic for just a second before you do. I know we live in Atlanta and traffic is bad everywhere. I get it. But I promise you, the 10 seconds that you save by pulling in front of somebody to slam on brakes is not worth it. All right, now let's get into the actual news of the night. There we go.
It's the news of the night.
I was so animated here in the studio that I knocked my mouse over. and I see Kobe. Good to see you there, Kobe. Kobe's actually flying the ship this week. It's been a long time since we've seen you. Jason usually flies the big WSB spaceship, but I appreciate you handling things over there. Don't make fun of me for knocking my mouse over here. I know there's a lot we got to cover, and I get excited when there's so much news to start with. I feel like I got to start with this one here. We'll get to the gambling story, I promise you, because I have a lot to say about that as well. But there's a story from PBS.org saying who's paying for Trump's $300 million ballroom. And you look it up, and the main contributors are Amazon, Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, and Apple. And you jump into the comment section. There are some smaller companies, too, like T-Mobile. I mean, T-Mobile is not a small company, but they're not paying as much to it. Google is paying some into it. And you have Caterpillar. There are other companies that are paying for this new ballroom that's being built at the White House. And there are so many people just losing their ish over this story. And for me, all I had to do was do just a little bit of research about it. I mean, I had no idea that there was a pool at the White House, that there was an actual pool where the current press room is now. So the White House, let's at least start with this. The White House is always being adjusted. It is always being changed and modified for whoever is there. And what I appreciate about Trump's effort this time in his adjustments to the White House is that he feels that there is a need to have an actual ballroom to host people. It's going to have bulletproof glass. You can have state dinners there, and it would be a little more appropriate. And it's just a better use of space than the portico that it was in before over on the east wing of the White House. So I understand why Trump's doing it. Now, I don't love the whole gold look, and I know on the Von Hessler Doctrine, which I am a member of as well here on WSB, a great show from 3 to 7 every day, we have to make fun of Trump for his kind of gaudy gold tastes. But what I'm here to say is, when you are president, as long as you are making changes to the White House and not spending my tax dollar money, then for the most part, just make sure that you're doing a good job in office, and I'm okay with it. Now, of course, companies like Amazon, Meta, and Apple, they are trying to make sure that they suck up to the president as much as possible, so they look good in front of him, and he gives them deals they like. I don't act like I'm naive to what they're doing here, but overall, though, to act like this is something that's never happened before, or that he's destroying democracy, and look at the imagery of him destroying the White House. You know it's going to be rebuilt, right? They are all the images that I see online are like the East Wing and rubble, and it's like, look what he's doing. He's destroying our American pastime, our beautiful White House. And I'm like, guys, this has happened before. Other presidents have come in and made changes to the White House, and that's okay. When another president gets in, if let's say this ballroom is the worst addition ever to the White House, then I am perfectly fine with the next president. I assume it would be from the Democratic Party. I'm sure it would be, if they disagree with the ballroom so much, I'm sure it would probably come from the opposing party. If they want to come in and demolish it and build something else, I'm perfectly fine with that. Just don't use my money. That's what we should be concerned about as Americans, as Georgians, as Atlantans. Was my money used in the renovation process for the White House? Now, if I found out that my money was being used to renovate the White House, I'd be pretty pissed. I'd be like, no, I don't want this ballroom. But the fact that he's using it from donors, granted donors that are trying to, cozy up to him, and there is an actual need, because from what I've read here, it looks like when they had big state dinners or like large events, they would have to basically move everybody out into the White House lawn and put up these tents in order to host everybody that was there. So I do feel like there's a need here. So while everybody's freaking out about it, saying, oh my God, look, he's literally destroying democracy in action, in our face there, I push back. I'm like, I don't think so. And people that are new to my show, I'm a fiscal conservative and a social liberal. That does not put me in the Trump category at all. There are things I agree with Trump and things that I don't agree with Trump. So, but for this one, I'm fine with it. It doesn't bother me that much. Now, this next story bothers the hell out of me because we had multiple strikes on alleged, and I'm saying alleged, not even the headline reads here, alleged drug-carrying boats in the Caribbean. And Pete Hegseth, our defense secretary, he's out there. War secretary is out there saying these boats definitely had narcotics. They definitely had drugs on them. And that's why we're out there taking care of business. Now, I have to say, full stop to this. Absolutely not. This is not democracy. This is not due process. And there is an easier way, Mr. Hegseth, Mr. Trump, for that matter too, to be able to handle this situation. What needs to happen is if we suspect, and I say suspect with that key terminology there, that a boat is carrying drugs from another country into the United States of America, then I believe the process should be to go chase down these boats, board them, and then take the drugs from them. Do not shoot these drug-carrying boats out of the water. It is ridiculous to me that we are doing this, and it is showing no due process because we are just made to trust our government that they are making the right decisions. And Trump is not helping himself with this at all. I mean, he was asked about this. He said, why don't you, a reporter asked, why don't you just declare war against the cartels? And this was his response to it.
Mr. President, if you are declaring war against these cartels and Congress is likely to approve of that process, why not just ask for a declaration of war?
Well, I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country. Okay? We're going to kill them. They're going to be like dead.
That's not how it works, Mr. President. All you have to do to stay within the range of the Constitution, within the range of international waters, is chase down these boats, take these people in for questioning, take the drugs in question, and give them due process. It's not that hard, ladies and gentlemen. I don't understand why people are seeing it from this angle. When we come back, we have so much to get to. I only got to 2 stories there. Landlines are making a comeback in homes that are families of 4 and more. I love this idea. I'm going to tell you why I love this idea so much. Also, we have to get into this NBA gambling scandal. I mean, what a terrible, terrible way to start off the season with Chauncey Billups, coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, and Terry Rozier of the Miami Heat. This is bad. We'll get into the NCAA angle on gambling as well. And apparently nearly a quarter of American workers didn't take any of their vacation days. So much to cover. We'll do it all when my Nightcap returns in just a few minutes. All right, I know I teased several stories coming out of the last segment, but I failed to look at the old clock, and your host went super long in that segment. So that makes this segment a little bit shorter. My promise to each and every one of you here on my Nightcap is that after news, weather, and traffic, I'm going to get to this NBA gambling fiasco because there's so many angles to it, and I really, really want to break it down. So I'm going to get to that after news, weather, and traffic. I'm going to tell you why landlines are picking up again in family households and why Americans are not taking any of their vacation days. You got to take those vacation days. I'm going to get to all those stories after news, weather, and traffic. By the way, this is the Nightcap with yours truly, Jared Yamamoto, and I'm on Saturdays from 11 to midnight. And if you like what you've heard so far, go on and give me a follow on my socials at Jared Yamamoto. I wanted to bring this up because this is kind of a wild story. I was out at West Georgia's homecoming earlier today, had a wonderful time seeing old friends, and the game was great, just beautiful weather, and hung out in Carrollton for a little bit, but obviously had to get back here in time to do the show. And one of the things that I noticed, we went to a couple of bars and a couple of restaurants after the game, is I keep seeing these ads during the football games for these DINO nuggets, right? These DINO nuggets for adults. And I remember as a kid, we used to get the dinosaur chicken nuggets, and it was kind of a treat. It's like, oh, that's so cool. And it was marketed to us like they would be kind of lower in the grocery store. So that way, as a kid, you would be able to grab it. But I keep seeing during these college football games all of these advertisements from Tyson, especially for adult chicken nuggets. And I know, and for many of you that listen to me on the Von Hessler Doctrine, people come after me saying that I have, Peter Pan syndrome, where I'm an adult that struggles with taking on responsibilities, and I push back against that. I do go to music festivals, and I am a very social person, but I push back against this. Peter Pan syndrome is when somebody goes to the store and is actively looking to buy these dinosaur-shaped nuggets as an adult. If you are in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, and you are buying dinosaur nuggets for yourself, I'm sorry, you are the problem. You are the common denominator. You are the one that's causing all the issues here. Don't come after me. Now, I love to go to football games. I love to go to music festivals. I love to socialize and be out. And I know a lot of people my age are like, especially my friends that have kids, they're like, man, Jared, when are you planning on slowing down? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to slow down at all. I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying myself. My example, the Yamamoto example, is not Peter Pan syndrome. Peter Pan syndrome, again, if you're going to the store and you're actively buying these, I know people still buy the Flintstone gummies, for example. If you are the ones that are actively looking to buy those kind of products while you're at the store where it is intentionally, or it was something that carried from your childhood that you are still buying now, like let's say, for example, you still buy Captain Crunch now as an adult. Captain Crunch is good, but it is terrible for you, and it is designed for children. It is not designed for adults. Then you have Peter Pan syndrome, which again, I'll read the definition. It describes adults who struggle with taking on responsibilities and refuse to mature emotionally or socially. You, my friends, have Peter Pan syndrome if you are going to the store and you are buying any of those items because it makes you feel good on the inside. Don't come judging your buddy Jared Yamamoto for going to music festivals. All right, when we come back, I'm going to get to all these stories. Again, got to get to this NBA gambling fiasco. Got to get to why Americans are not taking their vacation days. There was an altercation between a Delta flight attendant and a Southwest gate agent this week that happened at Hartsfield-Jackson. I think I figured out exactly what happened. People aren't sure, but I think I figured out what happened. We'll get to all that and more when my nightcap returns after news, weather, and traffic.
I'm Brianna Rose, 95.5 WSB.
This is the Nightcap with yours truly, Jared Yamamoto. And I'm on every Saturday from 11 to midnight right here on 95.5 WSB. In fact, if you like what you've heard tonight or hated it and want to comment on anything, go on and give me a follow on my socials at Jared Yamamoto. I promise you I'm on all the different socials out there. And when you type in Jared Yamamoto, I'm going to be the only one that comes up. But I keep seeing this in my socials, and it's starting to annoy me. The Fate of Ophelia, which is a song in Taylor Swift's new album, Life of a Showgirl. It's probably the song that has the most traction now. And I like the song. I do think it's catchy. I think it's better than anything she put out on her latest album. And now people are turning it into a viral dance. They're doing the Fate of Ophelia dance where people do the land, the sea, I pledge allegiance, and it's got all these moves. And no, Kobe, there's no need to play any of the song right now. I see you trying to cue it up over there. There's no need to play Fate of Ophelia. Kobe, again, is flying the ship this week. He's in for Jason, doing a marvelous job, as he always does, flying the WSB spaceship. But with Fate of Ophelia, people are now mimicking the dance, and they're putting it up on Instagram Reels, and I'm seeing it on TikTok a lot. And what I'm getting so annoyed about is that people are repeating the same part of the song. In my opinion, what I think would make you stand out as an influencer or as somebody that is trying to persuade me to come over and watch your channel is not to do the exact same dance as everybody else. I mean, hell, I saw comedian Nikki Glazer doing the dance, for goodness sake. I'm like, Nikki Glazer has no business doing the Taylor Swift Fate of Ophelia dance. And then I see like my neighbor down the street doing it too. And it's like, I get it. It brings people together. But from an originality standpoint, I would take a different part of the song and try to create a different dance out of it. Now, that's just me thinking. I know that's your old buddy Jared Yamamoto thinking, but that's what I would do. And I think that overall, like, people think they're creating something special, but you're just copying what other people are doing. So I'm here to push back. If you were thinking about doing the Fate of Ophelia dance and you thought you were being cool and you thought you were being original, you're not. You're not being either of those. You're just copying what everybody else is doing. All right, now we have a lot of stories we got to get to and not a lot of time. We got to get to this here. The nightmare for the NBA. The season literally started earlier this week, and now a gambling scandal is roiling the NBA. There are two different scandals here, so let me at least try to set this up here. So the first one is with Terry Rozier of the Miami Heat. He looks like his story is where he was jumping into the prop betting side of things, where prop betting is when you can essentially bet on how well a player is going to do. Like you will go to your different apps out there, your DraftKings, your underdogs, and there'll be a prop bet that says that Trae Young will hit more than 20 points tonight, and you could say higher or lower than that. And that's a very common thing that happens. You see it in all different sports, and we've had issues with this in the past where people say the player in question ends up saying, hey, make sure that you get the under because then I can fake an injury and get out of the game and make sure that everybody that's gambling gets the under. Now, this guy makes over $20 million a year from the Miami Heat. Why in the hell he needs the extra $200K? It looks like, at least from what I read here, this is only $200K was involved, at least with Terry Rozier. Why he needs this extra $200K is ridiculous to me. And I do feel like if there is any kind of gambling out there that is easy to manipulate, the prop betting is that. And I don't know what you do long term about this because it's only going to get worse. And maybe what you do is, and this is just my solution here, because I'm a casual gambler. I do have these apps and I do enjoy them. I'm not one of those people that's like, I am staunchly against gambling and everything it stands for. Now, I think that there is a responsible way to do it. I know for me, I set aside a certain amount of money every month, and I'm like, this is my gambling money, and I've got my buddies that gamble as well, and I think that there is a responsible way to do it. Now, if you don't have the responsible mindset, then don't gamble. That's my advice to you. But for those that do, what I think needs to happen is the prop bets need to be set during the game. Like maybe you set them in the second quarter of the game, and just make sure that there's no insider knowledge that gets spread out to any of the team, any of the players, or anybody involved. And it can kind of base off of how the player is doing during the game. So if, let's say Trae Young has an amazing first quarter, and then the prop bets come out. It's like, hey, do you think Trae Young's going to keep this trend going into the second, third, and fourth quarters, or do you think he's going to fall off at some point? That's how I think you fix the prop bets long term. And why, again, Terry Rozier and 31 others were involved in this is just ridiculous to me. What a stupid way to get caught. And what a stupid look for the NBA. I mean, I know that MLB's in trouble too. You had the two Cleveland Guardians pitchers where you could bet on whether the first pitch was a ball or a strike. And of course, they threw balls. And it's like, don't be so stupid. Don't be so idiotic with this. Allow people to have fun and realize that you're the star out there. You're the one that everybody's watching. Terry Rozier. People are watching this sport to watch you play. Not the other way around. There's no need to jump into the gambling side of things. Now, for the Chauncey Billups side of things, again, that guy's a Hall of Famer, current coach of the Portland Trailblazers. I mean, he's involved with the mafia here, and this is going to be an excellent movie when it all comes together, because from what I'm reading here, he had this ring where they had cards that were marked and contacts that people were wearing in their eyes, like contacts for your eyes, and glasses where you could essentially read what the cards were in this big poker ring. And if there was any plot for a movie that should be greenlit, this is it. This looks amazing to me. And for Chauncey Billups, again, I kind of put him in the same category as Terry Rozier. Bro, you've made so much money in your lifetime. I get it. I know that when people make money, their lifestyles change and it becomes expensive, but there is no need for you to be involved with the mafia here. There's no need for you to be involved in these gambling rings. And now, like, you are tarnishing your legacy because of this. And it's causing all kinds of ripple effects across the gambling world. And again, just to make sure my standpoint is very clear, I think it's perfectly fine to gamble. I think gambling is a fine thing, and I know that I'm a responsible gambler. If you know that you are not a responsible gambler and have an addictive personality, you should not be doing it. But now it's starting to spread into this other story here, which I saw that earlier this week, the NCAA is officially lifting its ban on student athletes betting on pro sports. And I think this is the right move. There are a lot of people that want to connect this NBA fiasco with this story. And I'm here to push back. I'm saying, no. These are two different things here. People forget that when these kids, and I say kids in air quotes because technically when you're 18, you're an adult, you're going to college. You should be allowed to do the things that adults do. Now, I'm glad that they said no betting across NCAA because I actually like to bet NCAA games, whether it's college basketball or college football. I'm glad they said no to that. But to gamble at the pro level, I think is fine. You just need to have the right mentors around you to help guide you and to help teach you what is good gambling and what is bad gambling. By just trying to prevent it altogether, people are going to find other ways to gamble. That's my whole thing. That's always the argument with legalizing drugs, right? Drugs, in my opinion, should, for the most part, be legalized because it prevents people from finding these underground ways to get them. That's the issue that I have with the whole war on drugs argument and people that make the argument that gambling is like a drug. My whole argument against that is that it's like, well, if you just say that people can't gamble on these mainstream sites, they're going to find ways to gamble no matter what. And for the NCAA to treat the student athletes like adults, I think that is the right move here. So for those that are trying to put those two stories together, you need to stop here. You need to stop. And even those that are trying to put Terry Rozier, again from the Miami Heat, and Chauncey Billups, coach of the Portland Trailblazers, they are two totally different stories here. The Chauncey Billups side of things, I mean, that, again, has all the makings for an amazing movie. And for the Terry Rozier thing, I'm sorry, that's just plain stupid if you ask me. So don't try to connect all three of these stories here. I get it makes you angry, but there's no need to get angry about it. Just understand that and learn, and hopefully for these adults that are millionaires, hopefully they learn from it. And for the young kids that are now getting into the gambling age and that are interested in gambling, hopefully you learn from the mistakes of these adults and we're able to gamble responsibly and they can fix prop betting. I'm telling you, if the people at DraftKings or Underdog want to reach out to me, I love my idea for prop betting. I think you wait till the game starts, release it once the first quarter is done or like a part of the game is done, and then you can start prop betting at that point. But, of course, they'll never come to me because I just have too many good solutions for all of those gambling companies out there. Now, another story that I've teased here that we got to get to is that landlines are making a comeback and they're helping families in a major way. I know I've come on my Nightcap over the past couple of weeks and I've been very critical of the cell phone bans in high schools around Metro Atlanta. I think that an overall ban works to a degree. My point of view has been, I think that you should ban cell phones up until your senior year. And the reason why you should get a cell phone your senior year of high school is because so many people are not going to college track anymore. So that year is kind of like your last year interacting with others in a school-like setting before going and joining the workforce. So I think it's good to give the kids a little responsibility, and if they abuse the phone, then you take the phone away. If they're a 12th grader and they abuse the phone, take it away. That's always been my perspective on this. But for the younger kids, the middle schoolers, and even the young high schoolers, the freshmen and sophomores, and I know some people that have their kids have got phones and they're in elementary school. I love this idea of bringing a landline into the house. And you might be thinking, well, Jared, that's like, who makes landlines anymore? And I'm here to tell you, my in-laws still have a landline, and my grandmother Yamamoto still has a landline. So I know there are some companies that are offering landlines, but I want you to think about it from the perspective of a young family that has got kids that are maybe in middle school or early high school. If you've got kids in that age and they want to communicate with their friends and they want to be able to, still have a social life and talk on the phone, I think that a landline is a good idea for kids that age. Now, again, they're going to have friends, they're going to have cell phones, and that's going to be the tough conversation you got to have with them. In our house, we're going to have the landline. But overall, though, you can have a lot of control over it, and you can even put a landline in the kids' room. So that way, people want to call, then they have the option to talk on the phone in their bedroom. I actually like this idea a lot for younger kids. Now, at some point, you gotta give them the cell phone and let them become adults. There's too much helicopter parenting out there as it is, and you gotta let them leave the nest. But when they're super young, bringing back the landline might be the solution for you. All right, when we come back here on the Nightcap, I gotta get to the story. I've teased it a lot. Nearly a quarter of American workers didn't take any of their vacation days. We're definitely going to get to that. And on the dating scene, those dating here in the ATL, 2 new stories. Tinder is going to require new users to verify their identity with a selfie. And the dating app, the T app as they call it, Apple has removed that dating app from the App Store due to safety concerns. I got lots of thoughts about all these stories. We'll try to get to them all when we come back here on my Nightcap. Friends, I know many of you are wondering, Jared, why in the world have you not brought up the government shutdown on your Nightcap? I need to know the latest updates. Well, of course, here on my Nightcap, I always save the best for last. And as of right now, we are nearly 25 days into the government shutdown at 24 days, 23 hours, and 53 minutes. Can you believe we're that close? No, the reality is that because neither side is hurting enough, I know there are people that are hurting, but for the most part, most people aren't feeling it. That's why both sides feel like it's a winning argument. I'll break down the mathematics very quickly. I brought this up last week, so I'll break down the mathematics here again. Right now, Republicans have the White House, the Senate, and the House, and they have more numbers than the Democrats. So therefore, there needs to be more compromise from the Democrats mathematically. It doesn't mean that Republicans are going to get everything they want in this instance, but certainly the Democrats have to compromise more. Why? Because they have less numbers. And right now, the Democrats want $1 trillion in extra health care. And considering that we hit $38 trillion in our national debt this week, I don't know if that's really a good idea or not. But certainly, we could come up with some kind of compromise to get our TSA officials paid. I feel so bad. I'm flying out next Friday to go to Halloween, and I'm terrified of what TSA is going to be like and how long the lines are going to be. And for our soldiers, too, I really want to make sure that they are getting paid their full salaries. And it's just really hard to imagine that our representatives are getting paid fully, but our soldiers are not getting the exact checks, and our TSA agents and our air traffic controllers, for that matter. I can't, leave them out. They work their tails off to make sure that the skies are safe, and they're not getting paid, and that's who I care about. So come on, America, we can do this as we reach the near 25-day mark of the government shutdown. Now, this story, I've been teasing it all show. Nearly a quarter of American workers did not take any of their vacation days this year. And this is really, really sad. So the majority of Americans had access to PTO, but because of finances and because of worry about losing their jobs, a lot of these people decided not to do it. Listen, the great Clark Howard, I used to have that kind of mindset myself. And the great Clark Howard steered me right here at WSB. He was obviously a legendary voice in this station and still does amazing stuff in the podcasting world and has his hits all on our station throughout the week. And Clark taught me, he's like, hey, that's free money, Jared. You got to make sure you take those days. That's my Clark Howard, by the way. Take those days. And while you're at it, use that extra money at Costco. And I'm like, because Clark Howard and I have an amazing relationship where we bond over Costco deals that we get together. But the point of it is that he's like, that's your money. Make sure that you're taking your days, and you shouldn't feel stressed about it. You shouldn't feel bad about it. Even if it's just a me day for you, make sure that you take one of those days. Now, don't be excessive with them, but try your best to use those days because the company gifts you those days, and you should use those gifts for your own purposes. I highly recommend it, and I think Clark would also recommend it as well. Real quickly here, I saw that the T app, Apple is removing the women's dating app from the App Store. And this was where women could go on this app and spill the tea about bad dates out there. Makes sense. I get why they're doing it. You can't have people defaming other people and slandering people on an app like that. So it makes a lot of sense why you would not want to have an app where it's besmirching people online. And I also see that Tinder in the dating world is going to require new users to verify their identity with a selfie. Why? Because a lot of AI and bots are getting on there, and they're matching up with people are matching up with fake AI bots. So it's sad that the world is turning to this. But my whole thing is maybe an AI bot would not be that bad for you if you're still struggling in the dating world. That is our time for tonight. Thank you so much for listening to my Nightcap. Of course, if you missed any of the show, grab the podcast on Monday. Just look for the Nightcap with Jared Yamamoto. And I want you to do two things, ladies and gentlemen. Number one, don't do anything I wouldn't do. And then number two, be safe out there tonight. And I'll talk to you Monday on the Von Hessler Doctrine.